Welcome to another Enough Already podcast. I'm your peppy host, Fingers and Malloy, with my lovely co-host, Tracy L. Connors. And listen, there are a lot of ways that we can approach this week. I think we should do it in chronological order.
That seems like a fair enough way to do it.
So we have to start off with the debacle in Iowa, the Iowa Caucus. And are we even sure of the results of the 2016 Iowa Caucus?
No.
Do we have those numbers?
No, I believe Ted Cruz won that, and I think the Democrats, they did have a little bit of a problem with their 2016 caucus.
Yeah, and I think in 2012 for the Republicans, if I'm not mistaken, didn't they announce Mitt Romney was the winner, and then 3 weeks later come back and say, "Oh no, Rick Santorum actually won." Why is this so difficult?
I don't know.
So here's what I find funny. And we are recording this on Sunday, February 9th. And I have to tell you, I've lost interest in Iowa. I really lost interest in Iowa on Wednesday. Here we are. It is Sunday. Do we know who won yet?
No.
Tracy, you are some poor, pathetic soul who wants to be president of the United States. You invest days, months, 2 years or more trying to win the Iowa caucus. You pour millions of dollars in, and it's almost a week after, and we don't know who won.
We can't count. It's really, really embarrassing.
Yeah, these are supposed to be the tech people. They're supposed to be the people that we turn to for learning to code and all the other things that are fantastic that are going on in Silicon Valley, and they're supposed to be able to put this stuff together. They want to run your healthcare, and they can't even count 190,000 votes in a state and tell you who won.
And
wow.
Did you watch any of the coverage on Monday night?
No, I did not. What did I miss? Fill me in.
They had, of course, anchors at remote locations to report from the different caucuses all over the state. So
Right.
It's, cut to Katie Tur. I'm not even sure if she was actually one of the people that was there, but let's just pretend that she was in some high school gym somewhere. And they're doing the first alignment or whatever the hell they call it. Like, go stand in that corner if you want Bernie, in that corner if you want Buttigieg, and over there for Warren, here for Biden, there for Yank, da-da-da. And then somebody was walking around with a little clipboard and yellow legal notepad, do little scratch-offs. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, and then they have to tally that. And if somebody hasn't met the 15% threshold, then that they're not viable for the second round unless they can steal some people. So then they do the realignments and count again. So they have all of this handwritten down. I do not understand why it's so difficult to transmit that information out. Like, they could have had a Google Doc that they were all sharing, kind of like we do for our show notes.
Right.
Just an Excel spreadsheet, perhaps. No, we have to get a fancy pants app built by a group called Shadow.
Of course.
And it's like, when you hear stuff like that, that's when I start thinking maybe the simulation theory people aren't crackpots. There's some group called Shadow that's just so happens to have a whole bunch of the Clinton campaign alumni working for it. They got a sweet contract with the DNC to provide them with this voting app. And then it's an utter failure. It can't count.
How is the company not named Acme?
Oh, man.
Yeah. So at this point, it's Sunday, February 9th, and we still don't know who got the final rose in Iowa. And at this point, does it really matter? Here's the thing, too. Look, I don't have the information in front of me, but it's not like if you win Iowa, you sew things up. I mean,
No.
usually it's look, last year on the Republican side it was Ted Cruz. And who won did Hillary pull that off in 2016 or was it Bernie? I can't remember off the top of my head.
I think that she might have. Remember, there was all that shadiness about the coin tosses.
Did you see
yes.
the footage of the one coin toss where the guy pretty much flipped it barely up in the air? He caught it. He looked at it.
Kind of moved it around in his palm. Did the old trick where you make it walk down your fingers, and then it's like, oh, that was heads. That heads was Buttigieg, right? Yeah, heads.
Yeah, it looked like a 7-year-old showing you the one magic trick that he or she knows. Like, oh, look I can pull a coin out of your ear. Wait a minute. Look the other way. Oh, there it is. Wow.
Yeah.
That's one of the few times where I think to myself, I actually care when the rest of the world is laughing at us. It's like, okay.
Do you care?
Well, I shouldn't say I care, but I get it. I understand why the rest of the world is laughing at us. Wait a minute. You're determining who won based on a coin flip? When clearly it should be rock, paper, scissors?
It should be like the Survivor challenges. If you ever watch that show? The immunity challenge where they make you stand on like a piling out in the water for as many hours as possible. That's how we should do this. Duels, like make it interesting. Hillary did win, I guess, in 2016.
Oh, that's good to know.
Just barely. But it does get, I've just looked it up on Real Clear Politics, and it says they might still be counting.
There might still be some 80-year-olds flipping coins in Iowa over 2016.
Good Lord. But it does give you a bounce if you win coming out of there.
Sure.
And Bernie was already ahead in New Hampshire, but now Buttigieg has closed the gap because at this point they've both declared victory in Iowa.
Everyone can declare victory in Iowa.
I did.
Who the hell knows? Okay. So, of course, the big conspiracy theory that was out this week was that you had this shadow company. They developed this app, and between that and apparently there was a poll that was conducted by the Des Moines, the Register?
Mm-hmm.
And they couldn't release the poll results. Like scrapped it, so now conspiracy theorists are running around everywhere saying, okay, well, clearly Bernie was on top of that poll and he won the caucus, but the DNC does not want anything to do with Bernie being their nominee. So now they're going to throw, oh, geez, we can't count the votes. And they're counting on the fact that in a week everybody's going to forget about this. Yeah,
and they're counting on Bernie Sanders not fighting, and he hasn't really. I saw him; he was on CNN this morning, the other place that treats him just as fairly as the Democrat Party. And Jake Tapper set him up. Like, are you angry with the DNC and how they handled this whole thing? No. What? What the hell is wrong with you? Your supporters are so much more into your revolution than you are, sir.
It's true. They are.
It's really kind of pathetic. But there's some weirdness going on. So let me put this up on the screen for the good folks that actually tune in and watch the video version of this. So this is the New York Times interactive Iowa results, which haven't moved since February the 5th, mind you. So there's 3,000 people.
Which is great for interactive if you're at a rest home. You don't want things moving too quickly.
Here's the secret is that this was also built by the Shadow Group. So they show you the first round of voting and the final round of voting, and then how many state delegate equivalents that translates into for each of one of the candidates. So Sanders comes out after the first round with the highest number of votes. Buttigieg is in second, then Warren, then Biden, Klobuchar, blah, blah, blah. But here's the interesting things to me. Tom Steyer got 3,000 votes in the first round.
Wow.
And then in the second, people stayed with him, threw away their votes, and he still ended up with 413 in the final vote. People showed up to vote uncommitted, Fingers.
Well, I was going to say, how does that happen? But other than the Bernie bros who are still holding over from 2016, it's not like there's a lot of excitement for any of these people.
No, and actually I thought Yang would do better than he did. So he only had 8,800 votes in the first round, and that went almost entirely away. He ended the second round with 1,780. But uncommitted.
Don't you feel like Yang is the one who probably has the most passionate supporters outside of Bernie about their candidate?
Yes, absolutely. But it didn't translate, apparently. So maybe they were busy that night. Or the anti-math vibe around that whole thing just kept them away.
I just think all these rich dudes should just stay in until the end.
They have no reason not to.
Yeah.
They're not going to get chased out. So this is, okay, uncommitted. 984 people in the first round say they're uncommitted. Second round, that increased to 1,418 people were just like, forget it. I don't like any of these people, but I'll stick around long enough to be counted, but not counted at the same time. But Deval Patrick got some votes, and John Delaney got some votes.
So let me ask you this, because the print is too small for me to see on what you're sharing right now. What candidates that were running in the Iowa caucus there placed below uncommitted?
Other, which is basically the same.
Yeah.
I suppose. Bloomberg.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they have him above. I guess they're going alphabetical. I don't really understand. So Bloomberg got 217 votes in the first round, and in the final round, 20. Tulsi is below him, even though she got 334 votes in the first round, 17 in the final round. Then Michael Bennet, 164 votes in the first round, 4 in the second. Deval Patrick, 50, and then 0. And John Delaney, 10, and then 0.
How many did Avenatti get?
That would be 0. Unless we could throw him into the other category, in which case he got 159. But other jumped to 205 on the second.
Wow.
Yeah.
And look, I was in Iowa in 2016, but I didn't actually. I was at the Ben Carson Victory Hotel during the whole process, so I wasn't actually at one of the precincts. So I don't know how long this can be drawn out, but I wonder if by the time you get to like round 2, round 3, if people are just tapping out.
Oh, it's only 2 rounds.
It's only 2 rounds? Okay. You got to be pretty stubborn. If your candidate has no chance, and you're like, well, you know what? No, forget it then. No, I'm just gonna no, cross my arms. No, uncommitted.
I'm dug in on this Bennett vote. 4 people dug in.
Well, wow. Okay, so that's Iowa.
Yes.
Then you move on to the State of the Union. Listen. It really doesn't matter who it is. I'm not thrilled how the State of the Union has just turned into bringing in person after person as used as props. Both parties have done. Reagan's, in my mind, maybe it was done before this, but just because I'm old enough to remember some of the Reagan State of the Union addresses, it felt like Reagan started doing this, and now everyone since has brought up. Here's Jim Johnson from Des Moines, Iowa, and listen to his story. Thank you for being here, Jim. And then usually people of both parties jump into the air and start clapping, and the whole nine. You had a good take on what you could call the president during and after that speech.
Yeah, I said I think he went full Oprah, so now we should dub him the Orange Oprah. And I say the man is masterful with television, because I don't like that crap either. I'm not a big one for let's parade in a whole bunch of sob stories and share that and make everybody cry. But here I am sitting there texting you because you're doing other things and saying, oh my God, I've got a tear here. And It just keeps getting upped and upped and upped and upped. And I'm waiting for him to start giving away cars. But he did give away a scholarship to a nice little young girl who's in Philadelphia, and my evil governor has taken away her opportunity. So Trump's like, you know what? You're getting a scholarship. You're going to whatever school you want to go to, young lady. Fabulous. Then he gives Limbaugh the Congressional Medal, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, right there on the spot. The greatest troll of all time. And then to cap it all off, here comes, I can't remember what branch of the service her husband is in, but a military wife there with her 2 children. Her husband's been away on deployment in Afghanistan for the last 7 months. And then boom, here's your husband. He's home. It's fabulous. Not a dry eye in the place except for Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, so I honestly get more of a kick out of just watching Twitter during one of these addresses than actually watching the speech. And I do follow lefty Twitter and right-wing Twitter, but most of the things that were popping up were on the right side, and exactly what you were saying. A lot of the, oh my gosh, you're crying, I'm not crying, that kind of thing. There's dust in my. I want to address something though that I saw on social media that really got my blood pressure up a little bit. Is here you have Rush Limbaugh, who, if you are someone doing talk radio, and I've been doing podcasts and talk radio in Southeast Michigan for on and off for 10 years. Rush Limbaugh and Howard Stern are the 2 kings of talk radio. And if you're a right winger, I still remember finding Rush for the first time during the Anita Hill controversy with Clarence Thomas and the hearings and everything. And I just happened to turn Rush Limbaugh on. I started listening to it. I was like, oh my God, this guy's great. How did I not know about this guy sooner? Well, I saw some of the blue check mark smart set on the right talking about this man who just announced, I believe the day before, that he had advanced lung cancer. And I saw a few of them go, oh, Rush sold out. Rush. And I looked at that and I thought, give me a second here, Tracy. If we maybe go down memory lane just a tad?
Sure.
Let's go back to 1988. When George H.W. Bush was addressing the Republican National Convention, and people were worried about H.W. being a squish because, during the 80 campaign, he called supply side economics voodoo economics. And, so everyone was worried that maybe he's a squish. He's not a true believer in Reaganomics. And he got up in front of everybody and said, read my lips, no new taxes. Like, oh, that's great. And then within 2 years, he raised taxes. Now, after that happened, 92 rolls around. You had Ross Perot running for president. You had Bill Clinton running for president. Rush identified early on that Ross Perot was crazy. And even though he was getting pushback from his audience in 92 saying, no, Rush, you got to get behind Ross Perot. So, no, he's crazy. But he didn't look back and go, my principles. HW raised taxes, vote for Bill Clinton. No. He looked past the warts that a Republican candidate or a Republican president had and said, well, my choices are voting for Bill Clinton and really voting for a threat to conservatism and smaller government, or I will pick the lesser of two evils. And so he pushed for HW. In 2004, after George W. Bush created a whole new freaking entitlement, added prescription drugs to Medicare, Rush didn't go, my principles. You got to vote for John F. Kerry. No. Again, lesser of two evils, and he championed the Republican. So why is anyone surprised that when 2016 rolled around, and since 2016, Rush has been a Trump supporter? Because that's what he does. You didn't accuse him of selling out when it was W, and W created a whole new entitlement. You didn't accuse him of selling out when he supported HW. So just stop it. This is what he does. He picks the lesser of two evils and he rolls with it. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, I'd go even further than that and say that these people don't listen to him, obviously. They have some idea in their head about what Limbaugh is, but they're not familiar with him at all. Because I've been listening for as long as I can remember. It was on in my house. It was on in cars when I was a little kid. Like, I don't have that, oh, I remember the first time I heard Rush story. It's kind of like he was just always in the background. Mm-hmm. And his thing for all these years consistently has been, we need to fight the left. We need to punch back at them rhetorically and not roll over and take it. You can't care what the media thinks about you because they'll never like you. And that's what Trump is. Trump embodies that entire ethos of just like, no, you can call me whatever you want and I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing. And that's how Limbaugh is too. And you see it. I mean, as soon as that speech was over, the two things that were talked about immediately in the media was Pelosi tearing up the speech and how dare he give that award to the racist Rush Limbaugh. And you're just like, God.
All predictable, by the way.
Absolutely.
To me, the whole Limbaugh thing and him selling out, I've heard this of other people too. And it's a common thing with the people who are being accused of selling out for going full-throated supporter of Donald Trump. And it's people like, my buddy Kurt Schlichter, writes over at Town Hall. Ann Coulter before she soured on Trump. Limbaugh. These are people that haven't been afraid to rhetorically punch the left right in the nose.
Right.
And all they would do is take arrows for it. And I'm sure they probably sat back and said to themselves, finally, a Republican politician that has no problem punching back and punching hard. It's not just us anymore. Someone's joining the fight, and I'm not surprised at all that these people are supporting. Do they have to agree with everything? No, but I know darn well the people who I do know, the people like Kurt Schlichter and others, I'm sure if you talk to them, they're like, yeah, I hated George W. Bush's expansion of government. Mm-hmm. Drove me nuts. But if I have a choice between that and John Kerry, I'm gonna still choose George W. Bush. At least it's gonna grow slower, and then hopefully at some point Republicans will come to their senses. I mean, for Christ's sake, Limbaugh got behind John McCain in 2008,
and Mitt Romney in 2012.
Yeah, wasn't a sellout then.
Mm-mm.
So look, I was so thrilled to see him do that, and to do it during the State of the Union address, while you had 100, I shouldn't say 100, but a good 30 Democratic women all dressed in white protesting the patriarchy.
I'm so bored with that. They need a new gig, like a new getup. Oh, it's the suffragettes. We've heard this for 3 years. It's old.
I don't understand. I keep hearing about this. Where is this fascist paradise that Donald Trump is supposed to usher in. I don't I'm surprised you're even at 3 years in, you're able to do a podcast as a
I'm able to
woman.
leave my house without a chaperone. I haven't been issued my all-white outfit yet.
Have we spotted Mike Pence driving around in a white van throwing gay people in it to take them to the conversion camps? Have we seen this yet? Because I keep hearing how this is going to happen anytime it's going to happen, and it doesn't ever seem to happen.
No. They're lying to you, Fingers.
Oh.
But that was the other beauty of this speech, right? We talked about this, I think, last week, the whole nonsense with, oh, he's not empathetic. He doesn't have any empathy. And so this speech was the perfect conglomeration of Orange Oprah with the empathy, but then also the troll in chief that we all love. So doing the Limbaugh thing, that's the trolling, but then giving out all these things and highlighting these wonderful, normal people that get overlooked all the time and pulling heartstrings. So that, tell me that he's not an empathetic person, that he wouldn't have thought like this is going to be, you know, it's cynical. This is going to be really good TV, but it's still nice things that don't have to be done.
I just thought that after 8 years of hearing speeches with soaring rhetoric, with either not really, speaking for 3 minutes about a subject but not actually saying anything, or talking about what you're going to do and then not having any results. Here you got a guy that, okay, you're not really sure if he's buying into what he's saying, if it's not just 75% of his positions are now based on the fact that at the beginning of his administration, the left decided he was going to be new Hitler. And so he's just doing what he can to troll the left. And that's why we're getting these results. But I really don't care. I mean, just look at the results. I'm supposed to believe that I'm supposed to feel like this president is a true believer and he's a conservative. I don't think he is. I don't care. Just look at the results. I thought that's what we were supposed to focus on.
No. Come on, it's always what they say, not what they do. So that's the standard they're applying to him now.
But I get that on the left, but on the right, that's what I don't understand.
Well, that's a small faction, I think.
They're a vocal small faction, and some of them are in media, and I just picture them at night going to bed with their 8x10 of Marco Rubio sobbing, thinking about what might have been, and they can't let it go.
Right. But I would ask them, what do you picture? What would the third year of a Rubio presidency look like to you?
If it looked like this,
yeah.
Let's paint this picture for a second. Imagine if Lil Marco won the presidency and we're in year 3 and he has this record, and if I, sitting back as a Rand Paul supporter, was just bitching and moaning about little things that aren't, listen, whether you're thrilled about the tariffs or you're upset about the tariffs, that's one thing. Just these minor policy decisions, they would mock me endlessly. They'd be like, dude, really, what more do you want? You know it's not going to be perfect.
Right. If
President Rubio had this record, lowest black unemployment in how many history? I don't want to get into the talking points because I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but what's considered spin by this administration's now considered lies, which is very interesting. But just the unemployment numbers alone, people would be like, oh, really? You got a tax cut, unemployment is at record lows, and you're going to nitpick about President Marco? And we, at this point, we may as well get to the impeachment vote because that brings in Mitt Romney. So Romney has his Romney moment. The left now apparently wants to draft him. I shouldn't say all the left, but there are rumors that
they should.
They may.
They can have him.
But isn't this is what's funny to me? And I keep venturing back to the Never Trump gang instead of the left, because I expect the reaction that we get from the left, the celebratory mood of the left. They didn't get their victory. They didn't get him convicted, but the fact that Mitt Romney gave him a little stab in the back, and now he can't say that this impeachment was partisan. I got to hear how Mitt Romney stood by on his principles. And it's, yeah, you immediately snicker, and especially from the Never Trump gang. I mean, you look at Mitt Romney's political career and the amount of flip-flops, whether it's abortion or healthcare, you name it, his position would change based on if he's running against Ted Kennedy or if he's running against Barack Obama. And I got to hear how principled this cat is. He wasn't even principled when it comes to Never Trump. It's never Trump until I need something from Trump, and then I'm not so Never Trump. And to me, I think that just makes Never Trump, the movement, look sad if this guy's your hero, because he can't even fully commit to you. I don't know, Tracy. What was your reaction when you saw Mitt Romney elevated to hero status?
Well, it's nauseating, right? It's so gross. And to me, he's got a little bit of that Hillary Clinton thing in him, where he has such a desire that drives him. I need to be in the history books. I need to be an important person. And this was his way to do that. Because now he'll forever be recorded as the one Republican that crossed over and voted for only one of the two articles of impeachment.
Right.
Couldn't do it for both for some reason, but for one. So now he gets fawning media coverage for a couple days, and he'll forever be a little asterisk. Oh, Mitt Romney, he voted for Trump to be removed from office. And it just looks to me, it looks like petty and pathetic. But I thought maybe he's angling to just say, I'm switching parties and I'm entering the Democrat primary.
But
and I think he can skyrocket to the top. He's got enough money to do it, and he's already passed Romney Care.
Here's the thing. If you're going to look at me with a straight face and tell me that he is a principled politician and he summoned what was inside of him and said, I can't vote no on this, then you can't tell me with a straight face that you would be there's no way he could possibly run as a Democrat if he's a principled politician. Because he'd be like, well, listen, I'm pro-life. I can't do that. I'm small government. Those are my principles. My principles.
I'm severely conservative.
Yes. If he's a principled politician, then there's no way in hell he could run as a Democrat. The Democrats would have no chance to draft him at a brokered convention and say, oh, listen, Mitt Romney's our savior. Mitt, come in, save us. Because he would have to say, well, no, guys, your platform to me is insane. I can't do that. I'm principled. How many people believe that he would say no? I don't.
I don't either. But, I mean, are there principled politicians?
No.
Okay. So can we dispense with this idea? I was thinking when you were talking about that, I'm like, maybe I would say Bernie Sanders, and then the other one would be Ron Paul, Dr. No, as they called him, who would just pull out his little pocket constitution. Does Congress have the authority to do? Nope. Okay, no. I don't care what it is.
Okay.
Maybe those two, and I haven't looked at Bernie's record as closely as Ron Paul's, but yes.
But don't you think Bernie Sanders, I don't even know if he's principled, because he's kind of watered down his beliefs to, I think, make them more palatable hoping that he could win a general election, even though you still listen to it and you think to yourself, wow, this is way out there. If you're a moderate or if you're on the right.
Potentially. But I mean, I'm talking about his voting record, not what he's saying right now. I'm saying he's voted against the war, and just recently he voted against the what is it, the USMCA. They asked him about that in the debate on Friday night. He's the only one of the senators on that stage that voted against it. And do you know what? This is his principle, because it didn't address climate change. I'm like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. That's what this is.
Wow.
Not one word in there about climate change, Fingers. We can't have that in 2020. Screw everybody and screw trade. We need to address this issue. Number one. So I'll give it to him for that. He's willing to take on those fights, but God forbid he fight the DNC, who can't count.
Right. But again, to your point, I don't think Trump is principled.
No.
Obviously. But you look at the results, you're like, okay, tax cut, that's cool. The regulations that have been cut, that's great. You go down the line, I'm like, okay, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool. I will affiliate myself with people who get things done in a way that jive with my beliefs. But the hero worship of a politician, I don't understand that at all. But if this were the first 3 years of say President Obama lost re-election, and the first 3 years of President Romney's administration, you had all these successes, all these same people who are crying in the corner yelling my principles. If you were saying, oh, geez, I didn't really like Romney. I thought he was kind of a flip-flopper, and Romney cared. They'd be like, oh, get over it. We're 3 years in. Just get on board. What do you want? Bernie Sanders to be president? I had someone with a straight face tell me, a good friend of mine, say that President Trump, his appearance at the March for Life tainted the Right to Life movement.
I'm sorry, correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't he the first sitting president to ever attend that march?
Yes, and he shouldn't have done that because of who he is. He's tainting the Right to Life movement.
I'm sorry, but every year I hear bitching about how that gets no coverage.
Yeah.
That's a huge march. All these people turn out. And if you think about it, last year, the only reason anybody knew about it is because that's when the Covington kids thing happened. And they were there for that event. But otherwise, the media ignores it. Now you got the president going, which means the media has to pay attention to it. And they're angry because they don't want him associated with the movement.
Well, because he's not a true Christian. He's not a true pro-lifer. And because he's crass and he tweets mean things, it just demeans the pro-life movement. And I'm thinking to myself, again, okay, you're upset that he flip-flop on abortion. Romney did the same thing. If President Romney showed up and spoke at that event, okay, Romney isn't crass. He's not going to tweet what the president tweets. But I'm trying to figure this whole thing out. To me, I look at Romney's track record, and in a lot of ways, he's Donald Trump, except with a better vocabulary. I mean, flippity flop, flop, flippity flop. Depending on if he's running against Ted Kennedy or if he's running against Barack Obama. It's two different people. Okay, so Donald Trump was the same way. He was basically a Democrat until he decided he was going to run for president as a Republican. Well, Romney was a New England squish who ran against Ted Kennedy, and now he was like a conservative light when he ran against Barack Obama. What upsets you? They all do it. They're all flippity flop flop flippity floppers. Maddening. I'm not even that huge of a Trump fan, but they make me sound like I should have a Trump tramp stamp. Christ.
When are you going to get one of those?
2021.
Okay.
Good Lord. I don't see it, Tracy. Romney, principled. He even flip-flops on his residency to be able to get in the United States Senate. God.
Oh, should it be the first real scam pack move, though? Draft Romney for the Democrat ticket.
We need to get on. Listen, we're pissing away.
I know. A
lot of time here. We're into February, and we don't have a website. We don't have a can. Well, of course, now, scamity scam pack. That's going to be my thing today. Is I'm just going to, flippity flip flop flop and scamity scam pack. I've already seen people are trying to draft Laura Ingraham to run for the Senate in Utah.
They want her to move to Utah and run for the Senate to run against him?
Yeah.
These people are out of their minds.
Well, I think Scam Pack needs to champion this idea. And listen, Laura is a fighter. And if you send us $5, we'll name part of our beach house the Laura Ingraham
Solarium.
2024 Utah. She could be our Evan McMullen.
Oh, God. Oh, man.
Let's do this.
No, but I do think Romney should be the poster child for Scam Pack. Then we could never get in trouble for trying to perpetuate a fraud. But this is so obvious. We've called it Scam Pack. We picked the most flippity flop flip-flopper. And we're trying to get him to flip parties and then win their nomination.
Principles!
Well, you can picture it. He runs, wins their nomination, and then picks Hillary to be his running mate. Because that's how principled he is.
Oh, can you imagine? No, he wouldn't do that. He doesn't want to die.
I don't know. I think he's that naive.
Who do you think? Let's play this out because this is a fun game. Who does he choose to be his running mate?
He can pull Paul Ryan out of retirement.
No. See, you've got to pay off the progressive wing of the Democratic Party. If you pull Mitt Romney out of you got to have someone that is left of Bernie Sanders to make these people happy. So who do you choose?
That's tough. I mean, I would say AOC, but she's not old enough.
Let's see. What are the ages of the other Squawk members?
Well, Rashida Tlaib is definitely old enough.
Oh, there you go.
Ilhan Omar's not.
Tlaib's also from Michigan.
Which you can't do that. That's the president and vice president have to be from different states.
Okay, but Romney's from Utah.
I think it's where they're born. I've always kind of struggled with that portion of the Constitution and understanding that requirement. But my reading of it is they have to been born in different states. Well, and she wasn't born here, right? She's the only one of the squad that actually wasn't. No, Ilhan is. Ilhan, yeah. So she can't ever run. What a pity. That is.
Okay, Dennis Kucinich. There you go.
Oh, that's perfect. But see, Dennis Kucinich has principles, so he wouldn't run on a ticket with Mitt Romney. Oh, maybe Joe Lieberman could come out, but he's not progressive enough. I'm trying to think of who could do it. Who would actually agree to it?
Yeah, it would have to be someone.
I mean, Elizabeth Warren might agree to it.
See, it has to be a woman, and it has to be someone on, far to the left of Mitt Romney. So, yeah, another principled politician.
We'll keep her alive.
Okay, so that's the impeachment. What's next this week? What did we?
Then Trump did his little victory lap on Thursday.
Okay, that was another thing that ticked off a lot of people. Was his victory lap at the National Prayer Breakfast.
And then lap 2 at the White House later that day. Yeah.
A lot of people of faith were upset.
Were they?
Yeah, that's what I'm told. I don't know. Let's just skip past that because that's one thing. Between I'm a Christian. I feel like I've got a really good relationship with JC. But that's not in my wheelhouse. Just like all the social stuff, the abortion stuff, and it's just I prefer to focus on economics and not the social issues as much. So whatever happened at the National Prayer Breakfast, But are you fine with the victory lap? Was it good enough at the White House? Should he? What about the swearing at the podium? Do you have a problem with that?
No, I don't have a problem with swearing at all. I don't think his Twitter feed is a problem either. So I know I'm in a minority in that world. It cracks me up. I get at least one good belly laugh out of him every single day on there. But I will talk about the prayer breakfast for a second.
Okay.
I appreciated the fact that he basically said, and he didn't say bullshit at the prayer breakfast. That's what he said at the White House. But he could have said it at the prayer breakfast when he's talking about people like Nancy Pelosi, who says she's praying for him and how she's using her faith in that way. And it's kind of disgusting because it is. It's so gross. It's so phony. Oh, I pray for him. And then she's going to sit there and angry face tear stuff up that she had to pre-tear because she's so old and frail that she was worried about it.
And by the way, when he delivers the State of the Union address in 2021, he should have the speech pre-perforated for her to be able to tear, so she doesn't have to. Please tear here.
You really think she's going to be sitting behind him in 2021?
Well, that's an interesting conversation that could be had. I don't think so. I honestly believe that. Well, one of two things are going to happen because there were rumblings a couple of years ago that the far left base is like, okay, her time has come and gone. We need someone else. If Trump wins, they keep the Senate, and I haven't looked at the numbers about flipping the House, but God, can you imagine if they flip the House?
Yeah, I can. I think it'll happen. I think the Democrats are just destroying themselves.
If that happens, I think she got to go.
Oh, yeah. I think she's got to go, period.
She's 79.
She's so frightening. Yeah.
But what cracked me up, I did see some people react that, well, he didn't shake her hand. So, of course, she ripped the speech up in response to him not shaking her hand. It was clear that they had to have had discussion before she even went up there, and it was like, oh, this was going to happen. He could have grabbed her hand, shook it, kissed it, handed it back to her. That speech was getting torn up no matter what.
Mm-hmm. You think so?
Yes.
Okay.
The other thing too I found highly entertaining is did you see the video that Trump retweeted this week that was put together? I don't know if this was an RNC video or not, but it was 5 minutes of highlights of all the things where you're talking about Orange Oprah. Either handing out scholarships, handing out medals, having family reunions, and every time that particular event ended, they would pan to Nancy Pelosi tearing up the speech.
Mm-hmm.
And then lefty Twitter saying, oh, this is clearly doctored. It needs to be banned.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Michael Bloomberg, and I believe, released a video of like a gingerbread man dancing on President Trump's shoulder. And I don't know, Tracy. I didn't see the original footage. Was there a gingerbread man dancing on Trump's shoulders?
Yes.
Oh, there was? Oh,
yeah.
There you go.
Oh, God.
Was he wearing a shadow emblem anywhere created by the Shadow Company Inc. or whatever the hell the name of that company is?
Oh.
So You didn't have a problem. I listen. These are, again, this is me nitpicking. Okay. I don't pretend to be offended with swears. Clearly, I'm not. And anyone who's listened to the show over the past few years realizes that neither one of us are offended by that sort of thing. I do kind of wish, if I'm sitting next to my 10-year-old, that the president of the United States would not swear at the podium. But
well,
again,
your
that's
10-year-old
nitpicking.
should be in school at 12:30 on a Thursday.
That's true.
It's actually mandated that she be in school, and if she's not, Kamala Harris will come and lock you up.
That's true too. But he has done that on a campaign trail, at his events. And it's just like, oh gosh, really? But again, that's nitpicking.
Yes.
Boy, am I going to vote for the president who gets in front of a group of people and there may be children and he says bullshit? Or should I vote for the socialist?
It's a tough call.
Yeah, I wish he wouldn't be so crass. I freely admit that. But my God, again, I'll take that over. This is another thing. Going back to the Bush years, hearing complaint after complaint. Oh, George W. Bush is too decent. I wish he would fight back instead of just acting like he's above the fray and I'm presidential. And, people aren't really listening to folks like Ted Kennedy when they say these things on the Senate floor and, Bush lied, people died, all this stuff. Oh, I just stayed above. Man, if you maybe would have punched back every once in a while, that's what everybody was complaining about. Now you got a guy who is punching back, and you're like, oh, he's punching back too hard. Oh, he's making us look bad. The left wants to destroy you. Destroy you. Punch back.
Yeah.
Rhetorically.
And look what it's driven them to do. Nancy Pelosi looked like an angry little toddler. She did. Like, what kind of adult does that stuff? And, I view this crap through the prism of that's a woman. And they've got two women that the New York Times says should be the president. Don't think that that's not going to lodge itself in the back of people's brains. Here's currently the most powerful woman, third in line for the presidency, that can't sit through a speech and behave herself. And then has to stand there at the end and tear it up as if that just erases everything that we just saw. There's nothing that looks so much more immature and petty than that kind of stuff. And I don't think Elizabeth Warren or Amy Klobuchar would behave that way, but still, you're on a world stage here, lady. You're going to sit there, and it looked like she was fighting her dentures the whole time, too.
Yeah.
And mumbling to herself. And I saw Pence talk about it afterwards. And they were asking him, was she talking to you during the thing? And he's like, I don't know what she was doing. He's like, I think she might have been, but it just sounded like mumbling under her breath. And every time they would cut, she's like picking up the speech and putting it in front of her face. And it's like when you have to go to some event, like say you have to go to your kids' thing at school where they're singing in one thing, but there's this whole long program and you keep picking up the program to look at it and be like, where are we on this mess? Like it's the signal of I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
It's like, I thought you cared about decorum. And we were worried that we have this president that's so out of control and such a child that he's dangerous. And so we should trust what you say and follow your way, your path out of this. And that's what you're going to do? You just blew up your case. I'm sorry, lady.
But as always, at least when it comes to the mainstream media, that will be forgotten in a few days. Where anything that Trump does, it's magnified and it's put on a thumb drive to be brought up at any time. But when lefties act like that, it's forgotten. And you and I talked about this the night of the speech, and I wondered if it was so calculated that, and if she was taking one for the team, because instead of people talking the next day about what a magnificent speech this was. And by the way, I didn't watch the whole thing, but I did see clips. And I actually some people were complaining about Trump's tone because he's a lot more monotone when he's reading off the teleprompter. I thought he did a really good job delivering the speech, and whoever wrote it did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
But instead of talking about that speech and how well it was received, by the way, it's amazing when the president gives a speech like that, how you don't hear or you don't see very many opinion polls the next day about how well it was received. But instead of talking about how good of a speech it was, everybody's talking about Nancy Pelosi's behavior and how she ripped up the speech and it looked like she got some Skittles caught underneath her partial and instead of the speech. So it was like, okay, was this so premeditated that the thought was, okay, if he does a good job, I've got to do this so people will talk about my awful behavior. I don't know if she's that with
that
it.
Calculating. I think she could be, but that is such an odd choice of something to do. I can't think of what could have been done that would have detracted attention, but also not made her look like a little brat. So I don't know. I mean, it's all about optics in that whole deal. That's why they dress in white. It's why Trump brings in these people and we can tell their sad stories and then kind of give them a parting gift to make everybody feel a little bit better. But yeah, I don't know what else could have been done. But you're right. She stole the thunder at the end of the night because that's what they're talking about coming out of it.
But it's amazing how Democrats can behave that way and get away with it. I mean, we know Joe Wilson's name for one reason and one reason only.
Right.
He yelled, "You lie," at President Obama during his address. And to me, what I find fascinating, and I hate doing this because it's just too easy, but just imagine John Boehner tears up Barack Obama's State of the Union address. The shitstorm that would have created.
But can you see a man doing something like that?
No.
Yeah. This is my point about we've got women that are in serious contention here for the Democrat primary nomination. Again. And every time you have a woman on the left behaving like a child, demonstrating that women can't handle it, it's not a good look.
Right.
Sorry, but keep it up. I love it. I don't want President Klobuchar or President Warren anyway.
Well, and that's not going to happen. You know, that was one of the things too. I had another friend who is she's on the right, but very, 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 very never Trump. And she's trying to talk herself into believing that, Klobuchar's a moderate. I could probably vote for her. And it's like, well, first of all, she's not going to be in the race in 3 weeks.
You don't think?
No.
Oh, I do.
You do?
Yeah.
You think she makes it to March?
Yeah, I can't remember what I saw. She raised a couple $1 million overnight after the debate on Friday. If you listen to the coverage of the debate coming out of it, she's the winner. And I got to tell you, I watched a majority of it, and she sounds like the most reasonable person on that stage.
Well, I didn't think she was polling much higher than 2%. I mean, look, stranger things have happened. I mean, she's not going to get the nomination. But the idea that if you're a far right winger who is pro-life, and you could even consider voting for a Democrat in 2020, it's, to me, it's just fantasy land. There are no moderates anymore. Even if she were to become president and say she has a Democratic House, it's not like she can be Joe Lieberman. It's not going to happen.
No, but I guess they figured nothing will get done. I don't think anything would get done if Sanders won. He's not. No. They're not going to win a majority in the Senate, and even if they did, I don't think the Democrats want to walk the plank with him. They would do that for Obama, and it's not like Obama wanted to do stuff they weren't already on board for anyway.
Right.
But I think Klobuchar, I think she makes it all the way to Super Tuesday. She is the John Kasich of the 2020 field. I really think that. She's kind of like, can't everybody just get along? Why do we have to?
Okay, but does she drop out after Super Tuesday?
We'll see how she does. If she's still raising money and all this and thinking that they could go into that convention without a clear winner. if they're going to continue to screw Bernie Sanders, I wish I had saved the tweet, but somebody, because my first thought was after this whole thing in Iowa and seeing how it seems like it's set up to screw Bernie over yet again. And I thought, oh, I wonder what they can pull in New Hampshire. Are they going to have the Russians hack the electrical grid again and take out the power so we can't get votes for a couple days? And I saw some tweet that somebody said, it's like, I can't wait. The Democrats are going to come up with some new wacky thing in all 50 states to take this away from Bernie Sanders.
Well,
it's like tsunami hits California and wipes out all the polling places. Like, how far could this go to keep him from getting the nomination?
Well, listen to this. This is from 538. Okay. This was from Thursday.
Okay.
So things can change, obviously. It's a tweet. Forecast on early and Super Tuesday states. Blank has the best chance of winning. Okay, let me go down the line here. Bernie Sanders has the best chance of winning in New Hampshire, Nevada, California, Texas, North Carolina, Virginia, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Colorado, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Utah, Maine, and Vermont. Joe Biden, South Carolina, Alabama. That's just from Thursday of this week. Now things can change, obviously, but they're going to shit a brick. Yeah. If it's even close to that.
But it's not. They do proportional delegates. I don't know that any of those states are winner take all.
Okay, but even if they aren't winner take all, I mean, just on messaging, if Bernie Sanders can say, "I won all these states,"
yeah, and they're going to say, "You're not a Democrat."
That's what. Again.
I mean, I've been saying that since 2015 when he started running as a Democrat. Why are they letting this guy in the party? Can't you just change your bylaw? Like, you have to have been a registered Democrat for this many consecutive years before you can run as a Democrat. Keep out the riffraff, but no. And he's got more money than the damn DNC does. Cracks me up.
That's why I truly believe it's either going to be him or it's going to be Bloomberg.
Okay.
Bloomberg will just write a big check. Be like, "Oh, here you go."
Yeah. What's Trump calling it? Mini Mike.
Oh.
I know.
Well, good Lord. We're over an hour in. Do you have anything else?
Oh, man. Like, I think we could save it for next week's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Well, we know the winner of Iowa before next week's show.
Isn't it funny that we're going to know the winner of New Hampshire before we're going to know the winner of Iowa?
But I'm telling you, this is why I love that site Predicted so much, Fingers.
What's Predicted saying?
Oh, let's see. What is Predicted saying? You want to know who Predicted says will win New Hampshire?
Sure.
All right, let me pull that up there. Oh, I've got money on it, so.
Oh.
Well, I made a bunch of money on saying Buttigieg was going to win Iowa. Because the way that it works is when you place your bet, you buy in at, here, when I pull this up, I can show everybody what this betting looks like here. So right now, Sanders is predicted would say Sanders is going to win. So if you thought Sanders was going to win, you can spend 74 cents and buy one Bernie to win. And then if it would pay out the difference between 74 and $1, so you get 26 cents if you get it, right? But you could buy that at 74 and then say he jumps up to 84 or 85 cents and you can sell yours. So what I did with my Buttigieg, I still got a little bit left in the tank, but I bought Buttigieg at, I don't know, 30 cents, 20 cents, something like that. This will tell me. I bought him at 18 cents a share to win Iowa. So the other day, then this market's been all over the place. And the comment section is on fire. Let me see. Did they shut down the comments? Okay. There's 77,610 comments on this.
Holy crap.
Yes. So right now, and this is on Sunday, he's at 69 cents, Buttigieg. So like I said, I bought him at 18 cents. And I sold a whole chunk of him off when he went to 82 cents or something. So like, oh, I'll keep 10 shares left just in case he wins. And then I have the potential right now to make $9.
So how much did you make, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, like $20.
Hey, what the hell?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a bottle of wine.
Exactly. Well, I just rolled it right into Bernie wins New Hampshire.
Well, here are the latest polling numbers out of New Hampshire. On Sunday, a CNN poll was released. Bernie Sanders 28, Buttigieg 21, Biden 12, Warren 9, Klobuchar 6, Yang 4, Gabbard 5.
Wow. Elizabeth Warren is getting smoked. And
When's she going to drop out? Does she make it to Super Tuesday?
I don't know. You should start betting on Predict It. You can bet on when they're going to drop out. I'd have to dig into how much money everybody has. And remember, if they drop out, they just get to roll that money right over into their Senate campaigns.
Yeah.
Or right over into some beachfront property.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like, does Biden make it to South Carolina? Right? I mean, this is absurd.
Oh, they have to be shitting a brick at the DNC.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what the convention is going to look like?
A lot of purple and blue hair, and then you got the team from Shadow in there that are all like Philip Raines in his little shorts and a jacket and tie. The creep that he is.
If it's Bernie Sanders and the DNC tries to screw him out of the nomination, there are going to be riots at the convention.
Unless they pull the heart attack gun out.
It's always possible. Anything else?
No.
You can catch the Enough Already podcast where all fine podcasts are sold. Check us out on Apple Podcasts. Please leave us a 5-star review. Gets more people to see the Enough Already podcast in their feed. And of course, check out the Enough Already podcast in video form over at YouTube and BitChute. Final thoughts, Tracy?
I don't know. Do you think I should sell the rest of my Buttigieg shares and make out while I can, or you think he's going to tank?
Boy. No, I think he's going to be around a while.
Well, no, I mean, just on this Iowa thing. Right now, if I sell off, I get $5. If I hang in and he ends up winning, I get $9.18. So it's a difference.
I think you got to go all in.
Okay.
You got to go all in.
Well, you're the degenerate gambler, so I'll listen to you.
Well, especially since you already cashed out a profit.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you lose that $5, you're still ahead, right?
Correct.
Oh, yeah. Got it.
All right.
Roll with it.
Well, my real long shot is I bet, I can't remember how much I bought, 200 shares or something of Hunter Biden. Will he be called before the Senate to testify by March 31st? So I bought that at 5. It jumped to 10 cents the other day.
Oh, I'd sell.
No. Oh, come on. The Secret Service has now turned over his travel records.
Okay, that may be so, but I would think that he will do everything he can to fight having to testify.
Yeah.
So that may be dragged out in court for a little while.
Yeah, but there's enough time between now and March 31st that market could go up way higher than 10 cents.
That's true.
So I think I'll ride it out. It doesn't feel so bad for me losing nickels. This is like penny slots.
Yeah. So there are dozens of dollars at stake.
Yes. I've got $60 invested in the market right now, Fingers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What a time to be alive.
I know.
She's Tracy L. Connors. My name's Fingers Malloy. We will be back soon with all new Enough Already.